Hey folks, it's Maxwell here and welcome to a brand new TW9 video. You join us for a big one. It is AEW All Out 2025. It hit 16 matches. I've went worse than Tony Khan. I don't know how I've managed it, but yeah, we're in a position where we have 25 segments in the show overall, and that's going to see us 9 segments. It'll be over the top entrances. It is a big event, but at the same time, we'll be in a position where there'll be a few angles that take us forward a few things. So, as you can probably see up the top as well, 5.5 hours I had to stretch it to fit everything in that I wanted. It's a highly regarded event. Ticket price in the set is premium, so it's only going to be 14,000. I think we could maybe hit 40 if I didn't, but keep it a wee bit realistic. And then I throw it out the water based on a legendary band booked to play and a $2 million special set. I kind of may have booked this show to take place, but yeah, I'm hoping it's in Chicago, but it could be anywhere at this point. It feels like an eternity ago since I actually booked the location of it. But no, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good event. There's a lot of matches, a lot of things at stake, and a few things set the tone for where we want to go. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we attempt to try and get another 100 with AEW All Out 2025. So it's the Wallstein Centre we're in, and is it in Ohio? I want to say it's in Ohio. I'm not from America, so I'm not too familiar with have booked it. But anyway, 14,299. So that's pretty good with the premium pricing. Not that we need money, but that is what it is. So the 6 competitors in the 6-man scramble were Eddie Kingston, Johnny Gargano, Orange Cassidy, Jay White, Pac, and Kofi. And in this one, it was about to have some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. It was Eddie Kingston who picked up the win over Gargano, Cassidy, Jay White, Pac and Kofi in 20 minutes after he scored the most falls. So a 75 for the wrestling, a 79 segment. Sadly, Eddie was really off his game, which is not ideal considering he's now going to be challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship on the special Dynamite. But he still brought a 68. The weakest there was Kofi with a 61, but some good performances in there, especially from Jay White and Pac. We then hear from Eddie Kingston after the matchup. He's backstage, he's bumped into Renee Paquette, and he says, Eddie Kingston, what a victory in the scramble match. How are you feeling? And Eddie says, honestly, Renee, honey, I'm sore and I'm in agony, but yeah, finally a big win, and that gives me a chance to be more than an interested spectator for the main event. But I'm going to rest up for that showdown on that Dynamite anniversary show. Ospreay, if it's you, you seem like a good kid, and nothing against you, but if we go head to head for the first time, I'll kick your ass. Okada-san, well, you know my much love for all things Japanese wrestling, and to defeat a former top guy from New Japan for the AEW World Championship. Mwah. The chef's kiss. So 88 for the segment. Their storyline advances and gains heat because of that, and Eddie improvised well. 88, solid stuff. That's exactly what we need. Good promos. Next up, we had a bout that had great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Hangman defeats MGF in 1801 by disqualification. So, 82 for the wrestling, 75 for the segment overall. Sadly, the creative finish here was a failure, despite it being like a near certainty. I was hoping to maybe use that because I was going with the DQ finish, to obviously keep MGF from getting pinned. But their storyline advances and gains heat. Hangman brought an 89 and MGF brought a 74. So that's obviously going to carry on. Next up, we had the 6-woman ladder match for the AEW Women's World Championship #1 contendership spot. And it was about to have some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Becky Quinn defeats Athena, Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, Bayley, and Mariah May in 16:38 when Becky retrieved the items. Some good performances in there. Becky with a 81. The weakest was Stat with a 68, which is quite shocking. But, or not shocking, but a shock to me. And good to see the likes of Jamie Hayter keeping up with them, and Mariah, pretty solid stuff as well. 74 for the wrestling, and a 78 segment. So it'll be Becky Quinn versus either Io Shirai or Mercedes Mone for the AEW Women's World Championship on the special Dynamite. So basically what will happen is there'll be the Dynamite is scheduled to be the same night as Dynamite. I'll just run 2 of them, and one will be like a pay-per-view type event. Next up was the trios match for the AEW well, the Triple Threat Trios match for the Trios Championship. I think it's made it an elimination match, which is fair enough. Decent matchup, and it was the Undisputed Kingdom, the team of Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly, who defeated Mark Briscoe and the Young Bucks, and the former champions, the House of Black. In 2022, the Briscoes and Young Bucks went first, Mark Briscoe and the Young Bucks went first, and then the House of Black went, meaning that the Undisputed Kingdom's Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, alongside Adam Cole, are the new Trios champions. So, 70 for the wrestling. 73 segment. Quite disappointed by that one. Weak performances in there from Kyle O'Reilly. He's not really done great in this. Is it possibly former injuries that have altered them? A 59 for Mark Briscoe. But everybody else is in a kind of mid to low 70s. But yeah, Trios Championship can then go on the Undisputed Kingdom. I'm unsure where I want to go with the House of Black, but I do want to keep them away from Trios action. And we'll see what's next for the Young Bucks alongside Mark Briscoe in that 73 rated match. Storyline advances and gains heat. Then have some words from Becky Quinn. She says, tonight's shown that even at my age, even as a mother, I'm willing to put it all on the line to become a world champion, this time the AEW Women's World Champion. Io Shirai, Mercedes Mone, both of you have a bit of a history with me, and I'm sure whichever one of you wins tonight will have a great fight in a few weeks' time. So, storyline advances, gains heat. The segment was an 80. Next up, Technical Masterclass. They had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Saw Zack Sabre Jr. pick up the win over Daniel Garcia in 18:29 with the submission orienteering with a napalm death. Fair enough, Zack. 78 for Garcia, 74 for Sabre Jr. The storyline advances. The wrestling was a 76, as was the segment. So I was on the fence where I was going with this one, but I feel like Garcia won the first fight, the draw was the second fight, and Sabre Jr. needs overness in the US, so that's why we went with the victory here. But 1-1 means rubber match. Next up, good matchup here. Sami Zayn defeats Kevin Steen in 2035 with the Brainbuster. Disappointed it only gathered a 77 segment, although it did have the crowd on their side with the 71. Their storyline advances and gains heat. Great chemistry as well between them, but it's that way where they can't face each other again. Sammy's got his win, and Kevin Steen will be very, very frustrated going forward. So that was the plan with that. Next up, in about, they had some great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. I had the Lucha Bros defeat the Death Riders, Castagnoli and Moxley, in 21:15 when Rey Fenix pinned Castagnoli with the assisted Fear Factor. I felt like this was a good opportunity to put over Penta and Rey Fenix. And you can tell with the product that we have that Rey Fenix just absolutely is fantastic. 95s, but must we say, the Moxley 88 is not too shabby. A bit disappointed Claudio's only 73, but it just seems like a physical decline hits him very, very quickly. 83 for the wrestling, 79 segment overall. Probably held back just because of the lack of psychology. But yeah, what is going wrong with the Death Riders as they pick up another L? Moving forward, decent matchup. And it was the great team of Cope and Christian Cage. A great story as they defeated Ricky Starks and Wardlow in 11:06 when Cope pinned Ricky Starks with a spear. Because of the situation, made this our storytelling match of the night. Christian brought a 72, Cope with a 65, Wardlow 58 to Ricky Starks' 64. But yeah, they still believe it was MGF that attacked Chris Jericho, and they've defeated two of his stablemates. So 65 wrestling, 69 segment. Christian Cage and Cope have reunited as a tag team, and it's a feel-good story as they pick up the return win. But suddenly two hooded figures hit the ring and hit chop blocks to each of them. They then wait for Cope to stagger up, and they hit them with the Shatter Machine. Oh no, they turn around and they hit Christian as well with it before dropping their hoods, and then they're expressionless. And it's Cash and Dax, it is FTR, who have attacked Christian and Cope. So this one was the idea for a while. Because the Young Bucks didn't have the greatest turn, we'll allow them to have a few segments to explain their actions before they fully turn heel. But yeah, going that way of Christian Cage and Cope versus FTR. 68. Next up was the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line, and about had some great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Ua and Ricochet defeated Aussie Open in 14:48. when Ricochet pinned Mark Davis with a 6:30 splash following interference from Paul Heyman, meaning your new AEW World Tag Team Champions are Ua and Ricochet. Ua was the weak link with only a 65 rated performance. I just feel here there's so many ways and things I can do with Aussie Open, and I do feel with her getting the ratings they're getting, then they probably will split very, very quickly. But it's a good opportunity to really get behind Ua with Paul Heyman and just have some fresh tag team matches. So 80 segments not too bad. Lackey Psychology, I think that takes it down from maybe an 83 or an 84. We then had the TBS Championship on the line, decent matchup, and I had Toni Storm defeat Megan Bayne in 14:24 with a fast roll-up. Because it wasn't going to give me her first defence, I felt like, now you can't put the title off her so quickly. So she picks up the roll-up win. 64 for the segment. Yeah, overall it was okay. I suppose it's good to have actually got Megan Bayne up to 65 in-ring performances, because that's been quite a good push since we had the women's tournament. What was it called? I can't remember what I called it. The Super Shine Grand Prix. No. I don't think I'll make the next year's one as quite as many matches, because it practically took up most of the time. But hey, we've got plenty of B shows, so we'll see how it goes. A while off anyway. Some words from Hangman. Tonight has proved my point, what a little bastard MJF is. Listen, you piece of shit, you got lucky and you ran away tonight. But I don't care if I have to take you and your group on alone or with friends. This isn't over until I say it's over. So 73 for the segment for Hangman Adam Page, still chasing off MJF. Next matchup was a wild brawl match, and it had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Samoa Joe defeats Swerve Strickland in 14:37 with submission victory. The Kikuina clutch, we'll just say Swerve passed out in there. Joe makes the third defence of the TNT Championship. So, 74 wrestling, 80 segment. The storyline advances and gains heat, and the creative finish for Samoa Joe was a success. Now you're asking yourself, why not put the title on Swerve? I just felt like he was developing so well in the save that after the tournament win, he's probably above the TNT Championship, so that'll probably just elevate him back above it. But I felt with the way Swerve was progressing, I could take some of that overness and put it on Samoa Joe, so then I've got a very, very competent TNT champion as well. And Swerve won't take long to recover that overness back, so that was my plan, thinking behind that one. Next up, it was a superb wrestling match with good heat. Walter defeats Bryan Danielson in 28 minutes and 1 second by stoppage when Bryan Danielson could not continue. Walter makes defence number 8 of the International Championship. So this one, 91 for the wrestling, 76 for the crowd, 84 for the segment as a whole. I was hoping this would hit the 90s. Both guys were at 90 in-ring performances. Yeah, not great for the Dragon. Obviously what he said on the last couple of episodes. The storyline advances, gains heat. It's been an incredible matchup with both men going to the limit, but on this night it's Walter who just does too much for the American Dragon Bryan Danielson as he passes out in a rear naked choke. It takes a few minutes for Bryan to come to his senses after being helped by medical personnel, and he looks extremely dejected as he's helped to the back. So a 68 segment there. What is next for Bryan Danielson? Darby Allin then, he's in the ring for his match up next. He's pacing around who's going to be his mystery opponent. Thanks to the theme song, we hear there is Speedball, and debuting in AEW is Speedball, Mike Bailey. So they have debuted their Speedball gimmick, which is adequate. 61 for the segment. And their match up, good wrestling, decent reaction from the crowd, and Darby picks up the win in 15:07 with a coffin drop. This match was designed to go out and steal the show. So 74 for the wrestling, a 75 for the segment. Mike Bailey's got a long way to go in terms of overness. I don't think Darby would have been happy to put him over, but he can still have that kind of baby face that comes in, makes a very good impression on their opening matchup, and then goes from there. So, good stuff. Oh, I thought this would be a lot better. Bout that had sensational wrestling and good heat. Kenny Omega defeated Konosuke Takeshita in 26:44 by pinfall with a one-winged angel. Kenny makes the 13th defence of the Continental Championship. So, yep, Don Callis did not interfere. He let them have that fair matchup 97 for the wrestling, 75 for the crowd, 84 segment overall, 99 and 95 in ring performance. What was the negatives here? Storyline. Low heat, that's obviously going to hurt it. Took quite a bit out of it, actually. It's a shame, because I thought that was one of our over stories. I actually, at one point, was going to put it on Takeshita, but Kenny wasn't happy to put him over, so we kept it on Kenny. But I think the chances of the 100 show is very, very unlikely, but if we can work with everybody and they get positive overness for this kind of show, then it's going to help us in the long term. So, aim for 100 with a few matches, but not to be, but as long as we're gaining pop, that's the main thing. It means I can have a few shows that are howlers. I think we're down to our 2 main events now. Don't think there's anything else. It's been a lot of matches. It is women's main event time. It's one of our marquee matchups, and it's for the AEW Women's World Championship. We've got a wild entrance for Io Shirai, and then an entrance fitting of a CEO and the champion Mercedes Mone. So 84 for this segment, 85 for Io's entrance, 80 for Mercedes the champion. The storylines gain heat. I'm hoping the fact they've had 2 segments involving them and that earlier on, that this actually puts their storyline quite hot, so they can deliver a sensational matchup. Match of the night so far, bout that had superb wrestling and good heat. Mercedes Mone defeats Io Shirai in 22:36 by submission with a bank statement. It gives Mercedes the second defence of the Women's World Championship. 86 wrestling, 74 for the crowd, 86 segment overall. 93 for Io, fantastic. Obviously, the good chemistry boosts it a little. The storyline gained heat again. And Mercedes with a 78. I just feel like, at one point I was going to put it on Io, and then I thought it's probably too short a reign for Mercedes. And then when you put Becky versus Mercedes, it's like, Mercedes doesn't have great overness in this, but a win over Io helps that, and a potential win over Becky, without giving too much away, could potentially help. But even being in a program, if Becky's going to get her over, so that's what I'm kind of looking for there. That was still penalised for low heat, so that could have been even more. So our main event, I think Ospreay and Okada did have good heat coming into this, so it could be a case of just the show's been maybe hampered by low heat in a lot of storylines, and then it's maybe been my last couple of weeks of booking hasn't been fantastic before we started hitting storyline, so it's up to me to improve all that. But main event time, here we go. As always, we get the over-the-top entrances for Will Ospreay and for the AEW World Champion Kazuchika Okada. Ospreay's was a 91 and the World Champion Okada's was an 84, so their storyline advances and gains heat with the 87 segment. They went close the last show. Can they hit 100 here? No. But you know what? An 86 is still bloody solid. I'm quite happy with that. The sensational wrestling and great heat. Okada defeats Will Ospreay in 31-38 by pinfall with the Rainmaker, giving Okada the second defence of the AEW World Championship. So both guys brought a 98. Storyline advanced. They've great chemistry together, but of course the lack of selling hurt the match. 98 wrestling, 78 for the crowd, 86 segment overall. There was the temptation as well to put the title on Ospreay, but I felt like you can probably run an angle of with Ospreay, a case of, right, I failed again, what's next? How can I go over the line and become world champion? So, yeah, want to keep an eye on. And we finish the show. He's done it. Okada retains the AEW World Championship. Confetti pours because of the fantastic matchup. And in 10 days' time, the title will be on the line again as he defends it on the special Dynamite Anniversary show against Eddie Kingston. So we will see in 10 days' time, in-game, Eddie Kingston versus Kazuchika Okada for the AEW World Championship, and Becky Quinn versus Mercedes Mone for the AEW Women's World Championship. So, overall we got a 90 thanks to the 2 boosts, and that'll increase our popularity in 57 regions. I think there's a lot of stuff I felt could have been a lot better, but I think the wild thing is, like, we're coming up in a year in the save. I don't know, I feel like I should be so much further in, but as I say, hopefully now we get a rhythm with these segments, with these angles and stories, and we can properly, because we have to do 2 things. We have to grow the company, but we also have to grow the talent as well, because I think we have a lot of these guys for a while that are in their later ages. I'm not going to speak to the locker room. Financial report. I would make just shit ton of money because of being on the AEW Plus network, which is clearly ripping it now. Oh well. It's basically saving up for a physical Hall of Fame. That's basically it. A few places began to popularity, mostly within places in Europe there and the Oceania. Some places in India as well. As far as the US, mostly going to 82s across the board, and 84 in the tri-state, and Hawaii to 77. So yeah, pretty solid stuff there. Media scrum. The head booker role over at IWRG is vacant. Is that something that interests you? Nope, I'm happy in AEW. With Cole, Strong, and O'Reilly having won the AEW World Trios Championships, will they be champions for a long time? They deserve the opportunity to get a run as champions. Ua and Ricochet have won the World Tag Team titles as a long range on the same answer there. So I felt like I was trying to change too many belts to change things. So I was like, yeah, we'll change a couple and we'll go for there. I'm glad he's having a good time, RJ say. Britt Baker and MJF don't like each other. As long as they remain professional, I don't intend to get involved. I think that's fair. Your response, which showed faith in the locker room's ability to deal with its own issues, went down well. Good stuff. Penta was off his game tonight. How disappointed are you in his inconsistency? Everyone has nights off. And that was that. So we'll jump to the main screen. We'll see if there's anything else there that's worth noting. Probably not, to be fair, but you never know. Something could happen in the wonderful world of professional wrestling. I'm intrigued to see how it organises the Dynamite and the Dynamite Anniversary show. I'll still do it like a regular week, but we'll just have like a special event show. So the actual Dynamite that week might be a bit mid-cardy, just to kind of keep people fresh. Nothing there I think affects us there at all. Fantastic ways. To be fair, if I got Company Wars and AEW, All Out still came in as our third best show, 190. It's just probably the two Bola shows just exceeded the expectations, to be fair. I think maybe I expected too much. I think that's maybe my problem. But overall, I think I can be happy with that. And we'll just have a quick look at the here. Lance Archer's gone from Noah. Otis has been, I thought I said Ortiz, but Otis is with All Japan. Taz's contract is expiring, but time to re-sign Jones, as he would say. But I digress. Fine. Oh, you want more of those orange t-shirts sold. 15% there for Taz, that's fine. And buy rate, none. Viewing figures, 31 million on the network. It's a cheat code at this point, but it's really irrelevant for what we're trying doing this type of save. So just see there, Dynamite Grand Slam, I'll just call it the Dynamite Anniversary Show, all rolled into one. So I'm assuming that would be R4R, yep, so that's fine, we'll just call it the Anniversary Show / Grand Slam. We'll call it, I know there literally is a Dynamite Anniversary Show, but they were literally a week apart anyway, weren't it? Because Dynamite was the start of October, so I'll just put them into one. So that happened on the Wednesday 24th from Love Dynamite. Alongside that, I'm wondering, going forward, because it gives me a bit more time between making episodes if we have more specials, so I don't know if I should start, like, obviously we don't know what's going to happen with Grand Slam this year, if that's still going to be a thing, but then I could actually bring in the likes of Grand Slam Australia, bring in this Grand Slam Mexico, a UK Grand Slam, just all wee different things, like I did for like the Icon tribute show, etc., and the GR one. 2 tribute shows already. But anyway, we'll see. We'll take it by year and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, cheers for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully join us for the next week as we head towards that Grand Slam anniversary show. And yeah, as always, check out the Fantasy Booker subreddit, Grey Software Forums, twdb.com, and bethebooker.net. And I will catch you later. Bye bye.